What's going on, winners? Your boy Loso 2.0, and I'm here with Dr. Dannae Sewell. Um, Please, this was actually, I appreciate you taking the time out to come onto this podcast and just, share a lot of your knowledge and anything experience that you have too as well. So thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming on and welcome.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's just get started, really. Let's just start off kind of with like what is it that you do, um, doctor?
Absolutely. I'm actually in early childhood. And when I tell people that I am in my career field is early childhood, I tell them it's kind of like Dr. Maya Angelou meets Barney. My goal is to ensure that I do my part to align with Frederick Douglass's quote of it's better to raise strong children than it is to repair broken men. And obviously, that
Mhm.
does not mean the gender, it means just the person in general.
For sure.
I also believe strongly that we always talk about how it takes a village to raise a child, but who's focused on the village? So my goal is to focus on the village. That's the educators in the classroom, as well as the parents as well, or the adults in the child's life. So that's
I actually like that quote that you said too as well. It's easier to, was it easier to raise a strong
yeah,
child than it is to heal a broken man. And that makes me think a lot about how, especially with some of the professionals that I had on here, they talk about how when you're getting raised up as a child, those are like your most important years because they kind of like um they decide how you are as a when you are an adult too as well. Do you agree with a lot of that?
100%. One of the theorists that I love this theorist primarily because of how he centers the child is Uri Bronfenbrenner and his ecological theory. In talking about the different systems and the child in context, right? So it's not just the child, it's the child and the adults in their life. It's the child in the school they attend. It's the child and the exosystem experiences that they have. So, for example, that might look like their parent having a bad day at work, coming home, and then that experience of having a bad day at work is then taken out on the child. All of those experiences are pivotal to what it looks like to have a childhood. And we all know whether it's ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, or whether you have what you would consider to be a great childhood, it all comes within context. Um, so as I teach at Delaware State University as well. And honestly, anyone I come into contact with, I like to remind them that all the adults that you meet are really just a culmination of their early childhood experiences. You might
Mm,
think that, oh, this person looks like they have it together. However, um, the realities are we don't just get away from our childhood. It just doesn't get displaced and we could just put it on a shelf and move forward from there. It doesn't work like that. Whether you deal with it now or you deal with it later, you're going to have to deal with it. Um, so yeah.
okay, yeah. Shout out to DSU. I actually graduated from
Yeah.
there too as well
Okay, okay.
in 2020. So now that makes sense then why you popped up on the LinkedIn.
Okay.
No, that's what's up. That's what's up. Okay, so yeah, that does make sense then too as well. Do you feel like because I feel like me personally with I had troubling childhood experiences growing up, but I didn't let that pretty much it affected me, but I didn't allow that to be, a lot of times people say talk about being a statistic or stuff like that, and I decided that not to have that. Now, do you think it's more on their environment or more on the person themselves or the child themselves? Because, like I said, me personally, I reacted to the environment that I grew up in and was able to go a different path as opposed to like my, let's say, my brother who would decide to be like a victim of his environment. What do you feel like? Which one you feel like weighs more on the child, though?
Not you shooting shots at your brother a little bit, but I get that because I was actually going to use my brother as an example. You can be in a household. There's four siblings on my side that were in my parents' household, and everyone has a different experience. So I do think it's a combination of nature and nurture. I think it's a combination of your own internal grit and resilience. Because what I can tell you, and I'm sure you can attest to this as well, and many of the other professionals I have in my life, that it is so easy to just give up and say, I'm not doing this. It's very
Mhm.
hard to continue to keep moving forward, especially when you're dealing with your own, whether it's personal experiences, you're dealing with racist experience, microaggressions, et cetera, in various work spaces. Um, so I think it's a combination. I do think it takes resilience and grit as well. Um, I almost hate to imply, because there was a point in time where I felt like, oh, well, life was hard for me too, and I just did what I had to do, you know. But knowing and understanding that people have different, they just have different experiences. There are different neurological, you know, underpinnings, different addictive experiences that might play a role as well. So I try to be as mindful as possible that just not taking the lens of just because I did it, somebody else can do it. And what it
Hmm.
means to be successful is different for everyone.
Hmm. Dang, oh yeah, that's definitely powerful. I mean, it's a real tricky kind of topic. It's so much detail that goes into it. What made you wanna, take this path yourself? Was it from like your own experiences, or like what made you want to choose this path?
Absolutely. So I did not want to be in early childhood. Quería ser una maestra de español. I wanted to be a Spanish teacher. That was my goal.
Hmm.
But the truth is, I'm a first daughter of a first daughter of a first daughter. My great great grandmother was in early childhood. My great great grandmother was in. So it's just down the line. And I don't know why I thought I might be able to do something different. However, one thing I know about myself is anything that I would have put my hand to, I would have been successful in, whether it's anesthesiology, you know, anthropology, whatever. Um, but this is just one of those career fields that people can say all the time, you can go to Chick-fil-A and make more money, you can go to McDonald's. However, many people don't feel called to work at McDonald's or work at Chick-fil-A. I felt called to, or excuse me, let me rephrase that because I did not feel called. I was a teen mom. I had my
Hmm.
son at 19 years old, second semester
Hmm.
of college. I got pregnant. I needed to be able to take him someplace and also make money at the same time. So I was like, okay, I'll just do this for a little bit. But in hindsight, I've been in the field for over 20 plus years. I realized that I'm the advocate that I needed when I was a child, and I'm also the advocate I needed when I was a teacher in the classroom.
Hmm.
Children are so disenfranchised. People don't really care about their thought process. They don't care about their opinion. We see it on social media, the ways in which, you know, kids are used for pranks and things like that.
Hmm.
Um, so my goal is to make sure that I do my part in spreading that awareness to those that I come into contact with, whether it's my college students or the adults or parents in a child's life, as well as making sure that I show up for each child. So there's not gonna be a child that's within my space that doesn't feel seen by me in some capacity.
Mm, dang, that's powerful. I mean, a couple things too as well. You speak Spanish way better than I do, and I'm Puerto Rican. So
Oh, are you?
you said what?
No, I said, "Are you?"
Oh yeah, yeah, we'll have in African American too as well. But yeah, I'm not fluent at all. I be practicing, listening to the little Netflix in Spanish for a little bit, 30 minutes a day, trying to get my Espanol up. But
Get on
that's
Yes, you better
actually
get on
impressive.
Duolingo. Thank you.
That's very, very impressive. But also too as well, just
Yeah.
being like so innovative and like thinking like, hey, listen, I need somewhere to take care of my son. You said correct?
Yeah,
And then also be able to also make money too as well. So it actually worked out for you too. And you said 20 plus years. So I'm assuming you
yeah.
started when you were like 15 or something, because what are you, like 30 years old or something?
I appreciate the compliment. Thank you, thank you.
No, yeah.
So getting into this career field at 19,
Hmm.
um, it was beneficial for my son as well as for me because it allowed us to really grow together in what it means to be professional, what it means to be, or excuse me, not professional, what it means to be a parent, right? What it means to
Hmm.
ensure that you are imparting positive practices. So it's a combination of the things that I learned in the books as well as the things that I've taken from my own childhood. How do I want my child to feel? Um, what do I remember from my childhood? You know, children were
Hmm.
supposed to be seen and not heard. You were not allowed to have an opinion. You were not allowed to say no. And I didn't want my son to have that experience where um, he spends the first 18 years being restricted in all the things that he couldn't do. Then he goes to college and he gets freedom and doesn't know what to
Yeah.
do with that because he's been equipped, right?
Hmm.
So, I mean, from the time he's young, we were talking about intuition. We were talking about listening to your body, listening to your heart, making wise decisions, that it's okay to bounce back from a mistake. Um, I studied Caroline Wanga, who is the CEO of Essence, and she talks about
Mhm.
failure recovery, right? That
Mhm.
oftentimes the way that society has us thinking is like we really can't make mistakes, or you can make mistakes, but we're going to rake you over the coals for it. However, you got to fail in order for you to get to the other side of that, in order for you to know what failure recovery looks like and feels like. It means you're going to bounce back a lot faster than the next person who might take a hit or take a failure and not know how to bounce back from that. So
Mhm.
this, I mean, this literally is what I do. I cannot imagine myself doing anything different. Around year 3, I remember saying around year 3 into this career field, I was saying like, wouldn't it be funny if this was my career? And now I am a doctor specifically of early childhood education. My goal is also too to make sure that we tell the story of those with the lived experiences loud and clear, because America
Mhm.
likes to forget that childcare, the historical underpinnings of childcare here in America, the invisible uh, Black women and men that were a part of what it looked like to raise children during slavery, what it looked like to be
Mhm.
told that you're a savage and you're not allowed to read, but still you're the most trusted person with the master's child.
Mhm.
So thinking about that, thinking about the ways in which white supremacy plays a part even in educational spaces like early childhood. Young Black boys are kicked out of preschool, Carlos, out of preschool at
Mm.
alarming
I
rates.
did
And
not
if
know
you can't
that.
make it in preschool as a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old or 5-year-old, what hope do you have, right?
Mhm.
So when I talk about doing my part, it's not just it's advocating. It's saying the things that people don't want to say out loud, like why are we kicking preschoolers out of school? And then
Yeah.
what?
When,
What's
that's crazy. I didn't even know about that. What are some of the other like things that we're suffering in early childhood when it comes to, like our people and stuff like that against like the white supremacy?
Absolutely. I think it's a combination of people being afraid to say the quiet thing out loud. People not thinking like, oh, here she goes again, white supremacy. White supremacy is real. Okay, if we
Mhm.
if we walk into a classroom and we're hearing the itsy bitsy spider with a trap beat behind it, it is not any less the itsy bitsy spider than what would be considered the traditional itsy bitsy spider. What
Mhm.
does it mean to take care of our children? For example, there was a study done, and I don't have all the details of the study, but feel free to like throw it in later, where it asked children, they show them a picture of Cookie Monster and show them a picture of Elmo. And um, I think Cookie Monster was just like crying or something, or he didn't have his cookies with him, right? And they
Mhm.
pointed at Elmo. Elmo had the cookies with him, and they said like, which one is Cookie Monster? And because Elmo had the cookies, of course, like it looks like Elmo is the Cookie Monster, and he's not. However,
Mhm.
when they asked the children, specifically the children who are African American, who be eating cookies? Who be eating cookies?
Mhm.
They got it.
Mhm.
Oh, Cookie Monster be eating cookies, right? It's not even a question. So it's understanding uh, even just the most basic of our language, how we speak, how we communicate. It's making sure
Mhm.
that teachers who are not Black and brown, as well as teachers who are Black and brown, are being mindful of the biases that they exhibit towards young children, because I do
Mhm.
feel like children are the most disenfranchised group. I honestly do. Um, Taking a moment to step back and do some reflective teaching, some culturally responsive teaching, being culturally humble, and understanding that you are not going to be, I don't like to use cultural awareness or cultural, making it seem as if you have arrived. You haven't. You don't know everything
Mhm.
that you would need to know. So you need to remain humble when it comes to interacting and engaging and learning about different cultures. Um, so I would say saying the quiet thing out loud, talking about, there's a school to prison pipeline. It's down to preschool at this point, considering, like I said, young Black boys
Mhm.
make up a very small percentage of the demographic in early childhood, yet and still they make up the highest percentage of children who are kicked out um,
Mhm.
of preschool. I think too, we can't forget about the intersection of race, gender, and patriarchy, right? We have intersecting identities, we have intersectionality as well. And I think that that's why early childhood is not viewed as important as it is because of that intersection of race, gender, and patriarchy. If this
Hmm.
field was a male dominant field, of course, like we wouldn't be having some of the same conversations. Um, or some of the things that we try to do and make happen in terms of compensation, in terms of elevating the voices of the people with the lived experience, it wouldn't be so shocking. But it's those intersections that make it so.
Yeah, that's powerful. I'm not gonna lie, I already learned a lot today, and it's only been
Oh
15 minutes,
my
and
God.
that's crazy. I didn't even know about the preschool thing. It's like it's deeper than I mean, even I thought myself. To be honest with you, like that's where my target audience usually is, like high school and like college students. But it's like, dang, it's going all the way back to 3 years old and 4 years old, and it's just crazy. It
Because in
seemed
some way,
like.
shape, or form, people's lives are impacted. I mean, children are in they're around. They don't just disappear, whether you see them in the grocery store or whether it's your niece, your nephew,
Hmm.
younger sibling, they're there, right? And oftentimes we don't think about the experience that we need until after we need it, right? So oftentimes
Hmm.
it's after you become a parent, if that's a goal of some people, or after something takes place with your niece or nephew at their school, all of a sudden everyone is becoming a lot more aware. Um, but that's why it's so important to have those conversations. I don't expect everybody to get early childhood. I don't. There's a reason why I'm doing it. I know why I'm doing it. Like I said, I want to be an advocate. But when I do open my mouth, you're going to hear me. I'm gonna talk.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk, and I'm gonna make sure that when people leave, they leave with a different appreciation of what it means to be a champion for a child and to
Hmm.
show up.
Wow. So at DSU, you're an instructor there too as well, right? Correct.
Yeah, I adjunct at DSU, but I oversee the entire early childhood program.
Hmm.
I'm the program coordinator. I'm also what would be considered an initiatives program manager. I created an
Hmm.
associate degree specifically in early childhood education with the family child care providers in mind. This degree is completely online. If they have their CDA, which is a Child Development Associate credential that they're able
Hmm.
to get through the Council of Professional Recognition in Washington, D.C., they're able to start their school semester with 12 credits already down. So we're
Mm.
ensuring that those that, again, with the lived experience that are working in the field are not having to do double work. You've already obtained your CDA. Let's just go ahead and use that prior learning experience, that prior learning credit, and apply that to you going to school. So this degree, like I said, is online. It is asynchronous, allowing for if you work all day and have a home childcare in your home, or if you're at a center, the last thing you have time to do is run up to Delaware State from Sussex County to take a
Hmm.
class. They can't just decide to close their centers Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 11 to 11:50. It doesn't work like
Hmm.
that. So this degree is specifically for the workforce, the working professional that needs to be able to go to school in a more flexible um, way. I like to call them the new traditional student versus the non-traditional student.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
and I'm really excited about what this is going to mean for for the workforce and how it's going to open
Hmm.
up doors. Being able to say that they went to an HBCU, that they went to
Yeah.
Delaware State University, and they were able to obtain their degree online. This degree, most importantly, also has entrepreneurial lens to it as well. So what does that mean? When COVID hit, many of the family childcare centers had to close.
Hmm.
And so the goal of this degree would be to support those. Maybe they don't want to get a degree and go teach in the public school. Maybe they want to be entrepreneurs and open up their own family childcare. So
Hmm.
that's what this degree is going to help. At the end of it, they are part of a capstone that would allow for them to apply for a business license, or excuse me, a business loan, and be
Hmm.
able to start their own childcare center or their own family childcare center. Um,
Hmm.
so all of that was in mind when this degree was being created. It took us about 2 years to get all the ducks in a row, different partnerships from the Early Childhood Innovation Center to the education department at DSU. True Access Capital all played a part in making sure that this degree could come to fruition. Um, and I'm looking forward to seeing what it means on the horizon. So, as I shared with you in the beginning, single
Hmm.
mom, teen mom, I think about locations like DAPI, right? What if we
Hmm.
can get the young girls that are going to DAPI teen moms to be a part of this associate program, right? They're going to school online. By the time they finish with um, their high school diploma, they would have an associate as well and be able to apply for their business license, which could be trajectory changing, not just for them, but for their children as well.
Now, question about that too as well. Then, can someone, let's say, because you said it also can help you with applying for your business loan. Can someone who's already like gotten their bachelor's degree come back through and complete a program like that? Because I feel like I know some people that completed their, their early childhood as like their major bachelor's degree, but then that entrepreneurial lens, I don't know if they have gotten that or not. Is that something they can now go back through?
That's actually a really good question. So it's a little bit layered in that we wouldn't want someone who already has a bachelor's degree
Hmm.
in early childhood education to come and then take up a space for someone
Yeah,
who may not have even an associate, right? So that's one
for sure.
thing, which
Hmm.
is a good thing. However, True Access Capital is not just specific to Delaware State University, the Early Childhood Innovation Center, or even this degree that I'm doing. They are a
Hmm.
small business supporter, and anyone can go to True Access Capital, take the classes that they offer. They have very specific classes for people who want to open up their own family childcare center or family childcare and or center. They have their very own. And so with that, it's just a matter of finding and connecting with True Access Capital.
Mm. Okay. All right. Cool. 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 Next, I was thinking about that because a friend of mine graduated from DSU with that too as well. So, and they were thinking about opening up their own. So that actually makes
Yeah,
sense. And I like that too as well. How you were saying like associates, but also has that entrepreneur lens to it because I feel like, like you said, after COVID, is like now a lot of people are taking the entrepreneurial route rather than just the traditional get the 9 to 5 type of thing. Now people are trying
yeah,
to open up their own businesses, doing their own thing. So to be able to provide that, and also too, like you said, while some teen parents that are going through high school finishing that up too as well, they could be getting their associates and their degree and their diploma at
absolutely.
the same time too as well. So that's actually pretty powerful, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Just trying to think about what it means. What does it mean to change trajectory, right? What does it
Hmm.
mean to provide opportunity to ensure that while we may not erase barriers, I think it's absolutely absurd to think that you're going to just delete all the barriers because you either, throw money at it or throw things at it. We're not going to, what we want to create is people who are resilient, people who are persistent. And
Hmm.
anybody who works in early childhood is that 100%.
Yeah, no, I agree too as well. And again, honestly, that's really the whole point of like the podcast too as well. It's like it's getting creating resources for
Mhm.
our own too as well. Because I feel like a lot of times, like me even personally with my own business stuff, even with my own leadership stuff that I'm like teaching or speaking about, it's all stuff that I had to kind of go outside of my community to get the information to then
Yeah.
bring back to my community rather than it already being in my community for it, and it's just like setting us all up because I'm a firm believer. I don't truly believe that we all start at the same goalpost. It's like some of
Yeah.
us start a little bit further behind and got to catch up. So this is another way
And
to.
it's a matter of what is going to be equitable, right? Because what works for
Hmm.
me is not going to work for you, and what
For
works for
sure.
you may not work for the next person. So just
Hmm.
ensuring that I like that idea. This is actually something that I was committed to this year myself, networking for the people that are in my network. So if I know that you're looking for something, I feel like I have a duty and a responsibility to help send anything your way, to spend maybe
Hmm.
5 minutes looking as well. Because that's another Caroline Wanga quote that the future of advocacy is intrusive, right? And
Hmm.
activism, it's intrusive. That means you got to get in there because we cannot say that we're doing good and the least of us are not doing okay. That's just the
Hmm.
reality of it. So what does that mean? So when I hear you talking about, oh, I know somebody that might be interested in taking an entrepreneurial pathway with early childhood, the first thing I'm thinking is, okay, make sure that I get him the information for True Access Capital because it is
Hmm.
about networking. It's not, you know, many times outside of our community, people have known for a long time that it's who you know, not always what you know. And
Absolutely.
now, for it to be a part of our community, we really have to be actionable with that, with the fact that it's who you know and not what you know. Or, excuse me, I should say it's who you know and what you know.
No, no, I definitely agree. I'm big on networking, completely great on network. So I definitely understand that too as well. Um, so now your pathway to, get into this, why did you choose to, I guess, choose Delaware State University as like the spot? Because you could have done this at any university, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken, or any HBCU, and if that's what you want to do. But why'd you choose Delaware State University specifically?
So Delaware State University chose me. It's actually been a part of my life my whole life. My mom is from Bermuda. My dad's from Jamaica. Born in New York, reared in Delaware. And I used to
Hmm.
go to Saturday Academy. I used to go to Upward Bound at Delaware State. So I'm walking
Hmm.
around many of the same buildings that I was walking around at 9, 10, 11, 12. Um,
Hmm.
and so it really was an opportunity to give back. I came back to DSU by way of being the lab school director. So if you've ever
Hmm.
seen the little kids walking around campus or heard about the lab school, I was there
Hmm.
for about 3 years, just trying to reestablish, rebrand. Um, Oftentimes, you have children that look like you and I
Hmm.
um, in childcare centers that are not high quality. And what do I mean by that? The resources are different, the materials are different, monies that are given to them are different. And so I just felt like I came from a very white corporate high quality. You pay $2,800 for your child to go to
Hmm.
this childcare center, and many people had multiple children in there, to
Hmm.
coming to Delaware State, where these children deserve to have the same kind of high quality experience, even if the resources were a little bit different.
Hmm.
And so getting to give back to DSU with the knowledge that I had obtained in all of these other spaces, getting to give back to the children and families has been invaluable. I was able to create and recreate some really good relationships, create, again, like I said, that village mentality about what it means to take care of the child, the educator, and the parent or the adults in that child's life as well.
Hmm.
Um, and so I'm still at DSU because I have an opportunity to continue to give back, continue to shape things, continue to make an impact. Um, and so, yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I like that too as well. Even from everything that you were saying today, is like, and I was actually having an argument with, not an argument, but a disagreement with someone about this at the gym. And they were like, I was like, impact over money, and they were like, nah, you need
Mm,
money. And I'm like, yeah, well, I feel like if you, and I'm a believer in God too as well. So I feel like if you have a strong impact and you're focusing on the impact and stuff, I feel like God always provides, the money that you need for that impact, depending on how big it is
100%.
too as well. So that's just my
I
firm believer. I don't know, what do you believe in with that?
I'm actually on the same page with you, in that you can have all the money in the world. If you don't know how to engage with people, interact with people, get people to see your vision,
Hmm.
um, oftentimes when you're calling customer service, they don't care about the amount of money you have, and your day is going to be impacted by how that call goes, I guarantee you. Somebody cut around you or swerve around you when you're driving, your day is gonna
Mhm.
be impacted. You're not gonna say, "Well, I make over 6 figures a year." No, you're gonna be impacted, and so I do think that impact um, over money 10 times over. I feel like money is a tool, of course, but it's
Mhm.
not money that makes you rich. It's the people in your life, the people that you love, the people that love you, the people that show up for you, the people that you show up for, the time that you take to create and hold and solidify those memories. That's what's most important.
Mhm.
Because let me tell you, money's going to come and go. If you don't have financial literacy, and I'm saying this as somebody who is still learning myself, it doesn't matter how much money you're gonna make. It don't. Because I remember making $9.50 when I first got into early childhood, and I was saying, "Man, if I could only make $12." And then I was making $12, and I was like, "Well, if I could only make 15, then I'll be straight." Like, and it just keeps going up if you don't have, financial literacy as well, which I feel like is important. So these students are not just it's not just, "Here's early childhood, treat children well." We're trying to take care of the child that is within them as well, right? We
Mhm.
can't just send them out into the world. You got a lot of broken teachers trying to teach children how to be whole. It's not gonna
Mhm.
work. It doesn't work like that. So there's a lot of healing. Like I did another podcast that talked about heal you, heal the children, heal the village. And it really
Mhm.
is, it starts with you, you know?
Mhm.
Children don't like people they don't like. That's from Rita Pearson. That's just the reality of it. So
Mhm.
you have to work on being the kind of person that when a child looks back on engaging with you, they can say like, "Oh, I remember that was a good adult in my life."
Yeah, you can't pour from an empty cup. That's just really what it is,
Yeah,
though. You can't. So that I definitely agree with that. Now, we definitely learned a lot about a lot of resources on here that people can, utilize themselves, especially if they're looking to go into early childhood. Learned a lot of things about
absolutely.
things that are happening in early childhood too. Now, if you had to leave the audience with one last piece of advice, what would it be?
I'm actually, so you've heard me quote Caroline Wanga, you've heard me quote
Yeah.
Rita Pearson. I want to quote Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown because I think that this is really impactful. She was telling the story about her being on the Harvard campus and walking across campus feeling really down. And she runs into somebody, a lady that she doesn't even know. And basically, that lady tells her, just continue to persevere. Right.
Hmm.
And I think that being a Black woman in America, being a teen mom, that what has been most important in my experiences and my learning is that your perseverance looks different every single
Hmm.
day. So someday it's going to look like me getting all the things done on my to-do list, both professionally and personally, right?
Hmm.
Some days it's going to look like me crying on the kitchen floor because I don't know how I'm going to make rent that month. So when
Hmm.
people know and understand that your perseverance does not have to be packaged up in a bow, it does not have a look, it
Hmm.
looks like whatever it is that you do that day to get through that day. I think that that creates a space for, you know, to just keep going. All right. Like today was a great day. Great. Keep going. Today was a bad day. Okay. Keep going. So I
Hmm.
think that's what I would leave everyone with.
That was actually a really good piece of advice. I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like I was meant to hear that quote. I swear, I'm not even
Hmm.
lying to you. It was like I was literally
I'm
praying about
glad.
that earlier. I swear, I was praying about. I'm like, dang, like some days I feel like because I have a list of like 50 something things that I get done each and every single day. But then there's like some days where I may miss like one or two, and I'm like, dang, now I feel like the whole day is like I just messed up the whole day. But then I start to think like, dang,
Yeah.
you know what? I still got a good data and I did 50 things. I just made missed the
Yeah.
two of them. I didn't do 52 now, or it maybe they only did like two things done, but they were impactful.
Exactly.
But that's what I like that a quote that you just
Absolutely.
left with us too. Now, if someone wanted to reach out to you just for advice, or if they're looking to go down the early childhood pathway, how could they reach out to you?
100%. So I'm going to give my work cell phone as well as my work email.
Hmm.
And I am here to help support, here to help give resources. The Early Childhood Innovation Center is a great resource for anyone that's looking to go back to school. As long as you're working at least 20 hours a week in a
Hmm.
licensed childcare facility or a licensed early learning space, you're eligible for them to take care of your tuition 100% up and down the state of Delaware. You can go to any of the institutions and they will pay for up to 13 credits. You get a free laptop. You get support stipends throughout your semester. And then you get an opportunity for completion stipends. And those completion stipends are $5,000, $10,000, $2,500, which could be life changing for some people. So I would love to share that information. My contact information is D as in dancing, S as in singing, EWELL at desu.edu. And my work cell phone number is 302 603 6881.
Okay. All right. Well, you heard it.
So
Definitely do that. Listen,
don't blow me up. They could call and they could email. Don't blow me up. I'm busy.
because I'm about to say, listen, you about to get a whole lot of calls because I was about to go to every
No,
professional learning center and just be like,
please
yo, look, y'all need
share.
to go
Please
take this
share.
course.
Because I mean, the truth is too, it may not be me that could be the person that helps them, but I can get them to someone. I may not know all the answers. I definitely feel like your greatest resource is knowing who and what your resources are. So,
Hmm.
yeah,
No, absolutely, absolutely, and I thank you and for taking the time out of your day. I know you're busy, um, just like just to come on this podcast and just give the resources that you did too. So I definitely appreciate that.
absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Carlos.
No, absolutely. Well, that's really all I had. As you guys heard the contact information, I'll put it too in the notes too as well, so you guys can see it for the podcast or the episode description too as well. Want you guys to keep killing the day. Remember, winners win, losers lose, and you guys pray for success like this. I'll talk to you guys. See. Ya.